All right. So before, and I'm recording this, so please try to kind of join in with me. Before we move on to the focus, this title should be non-renewable energy, really. We're talking about non-renewable energy, not just energy. Non-renewable energy types and their uses. That's what this whole unit is about. And then you're going to have a teaching project on renewable energy, and that's going to be the last project pretty much, I think, for the year. I want to know if who could tell me the 6 forms of energy or any of the forms of energy.
Nuclear.
Write them down if you don't remember them. Nuclear.
Chemical.
Potential is chemical. Kinetic. So put the word potential on the side, and the only example is chemical. You could put kinetic on the other side, and all the other 5 types are kinetic. Okay? So we've got nuclear, which is what type of energy?
Natural gas.
Chemical. Chemical.
Natural gas.
Which is chemical. Solar energy,
Wind.
which is mechanical.
Hydro.
Which is mechanical. We've got solar, chemical, mechanical, nuclear. 2 more. What does everything end up as? Heat. And what is the start of all energy? Sun. Solar. Did we say solar? All right, so let's start again. Solar, chemical, electrical, mechanical, nuclear, and heat.
Oh my gosh, I have so much homework. Mr. Rango,
Is the law of energy. What does it state? I need the first law first. Energy cannot be created or destroyed, only transformed. Law state. I'm going to start it for you. In every energy transformation, energy is lost as heat. There's 3 parts to the second law. That's part 1. Heat flows hot to cold, which is more to less. And what happens to the molecules? They disperse. Entropy. They lose their ability to perform a task. So I'll repeat. Second law. In every energy transformation, energy is lost as heat. Heat flows from hot to cold, and there's entropy. History of energy. You could title this next section. What type of energy do hunter-gatherers use?
manpower.
Fire.
Come on, people. Look at the picture. The sun. And they use manpower, right? It is a cool picture. Good job, girl. What type of resource is sun and manpower? Renewable. Good job. So hunter-gatherers were nomads. They went from place to place. They lived in the forest, and then they cut the forest, and they settled into agriculture society, who used wood and animal power as their main source, which is still a type of renewable, but we change it to potentially renewable because what?
Because wood, wood, it takes a long time to regrow.
It should naturally regrow because it's matter being cycled just like we are, right? But
If you use it at a higher rate.
good. If you use it at a high rate, there's a risk for it to the sun. That can never happen, hopefully, because if it does, we're in trouble. What's the last society? Potentially. Industrial. The society we are currently in. What do we use in this society for energy?
Non-renewable resources.
Such as fossil fuels and nuclear, and they are non-renewable resources. Good job. And nuclear power or energy will run out because they're non-renewable resources. Can they reform on Earth?
Yes, but it takes a long time.
Yes, but it takes a long time, and it may never happen in our lifetime, especially when we learn how they formed. It's almost impossible, in my opinion, for that to happen again. So fossil fuel use, when you use it, you're going to take high quality energy and you're going to convert it, and then it loses its ability to perform a task, so technically you have nothing left, okay? So when we use our fossil fuels, we're using them to the point of never being able to use them again. What are the examples of fossil fuels or non-renewable energy? What's the first one? Petroleum.
Nuclear.
Nuclear.
Gas.
Natural gas.
And
Coal.
Coal. Whoops. Whoops. Any percents I give you from here on out, we're going to think of them as a lot or a little, okay? Because the percents are wrong. I can tell you that only because I haven't looked it up again. But the majority of all commercial energy in the world comes from non-renewable energy. So everything that we use energy for, the majority comes from non-renewable. So what's the minority? Renewable, okay? Now, of the non-renewable energy, the majority of energy use comes from fossil fuels. So again, not 76. So what's the minority? Good job. Of the non-renewable, the majority of the use comes from fossil fuels. The minority would be nuclear, okay? But out of the all energy use, its majority is non-renewable. All right. Who are my biggest users?
United States of America.
Nope. China is number 1. Second biggest user, we are. And third biggest user? Russia. Good geographical skills, people.
They have none of the. What happens there? Like, what do they need it for?
They want electricity like everybody else,
Oh, I
right?
thought they were doing like some stuff with the nuclear.
So here's the punchline. I looked up world populations today. China is in the billions, right? We're in the about 400 million, and then Russia's like 100 million. So we're like so significantly less than China. I just wanted to point this out. But China, they are the number 1 consumers of coal. But we, who have, I don't even know how to do that kind of math, but a lot less people than China are the number 1 consumers of petroleum and natural gas. And we're the second biggest consumers of coal. Sometimes when you look it up, we are bigger than they are, okay? So even though our population is, what would you say, half or even less than half? Less than half, we use as much as they do, which is crazy. Keep that in mind.
Fossil fuels, electricity.
Electricity production. Again, no numbers. The number 1 use of energy in the world is for electricity production. Number 1. What do you think number 2 is? I'm not going to show you the slide. I want you to think.
Machines.
Machines need electricity to be powered. Good. That's number 3. So you could put that. Industry is number 3. Making of goods is number 3. Listen, let's think.
Transportation.
Thank you. What's the first thing you do in the morning? Is if you're going to shower, you hope you have hot water, right? When you want to come to school, you need a car. Transportation is number 2. The numbers don't mean anything. Ignore them, because I don't even know what they are. Number 3 is industry. And by industry, I mean making of goods. So we use fossil fuels and nuclear energy to make things. Yes? Anybody know one thing we make from that? Plastic. Really important thing we need, right? From fossil fuels. Number 4 is heating. So if you don't have an electric water heater, you don't have a stove, right, an appliance, you're going to use fire to cook food, fire to boil water, right? So we use heating.
No, my camera broke down.
All right, now I want you to take a picture of this graph. I'll go back. I'll pause right now. Take a picture and then I'll pause. We could call it fossil fuel use, this graph. Each color represents a type of fossil fuel. Based on what you see at the bottom, who could tell me what you think green is? What fossil fuel? And why? Petroleum, why? Because cars or planes run on petroleum, okay? White might be a little harder, but look at blue. What do you think blue is? Coal, why? Electricity, good. And what's white then? What's the last one?
Gas.
Natural gas. Okay, so what I want you to know is petroleum's main use is transportation. What's its second? Industry. Good. Natural gas main use. Industry. Number 2 is actually heating. Put that down. Heating. We use natural gas for heating. Coal's main use. Electricity. Number 2, industry.